We can't use the elevator. If that thug Pablo's recovered, he'll be waiting for us.
We've got to do something. Where does that door lead to?
I'm not sure. It would be much easier to attach the rope to the statue first. There wasn't much I could do with a pulley that didn't have any rope. There wasn't enough room to move the handle. The rope wasn't long enough to reach the pulley. The statue looked way too heavy for me to move. Hopefully, the tape would prevent those doors from closing and stop the Indian from being able to call the elevator. Rose about 6 inches off the floor, and I said a silent prayer to whoever had discovered the power of hydraulics.
What on earth are you doing?
Trying to raise the statue so I can hook it to that pulley.
Is that really going to help us?
I like to keep myself occupied in times of stress. The statue looked way too heavy for me to move. I didn't want to remove the rope from the pulley. The statue looked way too heavy for me to move. Did that Indian guy mistreat you?
If you forget about the abduction, verbal threats, and bondage, no.
Well, what about the little guy?
I don't think he knows where he is or what he's doing here. The big guy, Pablo, he brought Titipoco from the jungle.
Titty what?
Titipoco. That's what I heard Pablo call the dwarf.
Tell me about this Karzak guy.
Well, I saw him for only a few minutes, but he frightens me. I got the impression that Pablo was nervous when he was around too. His eyes, they're like a wild animal's, like a tiger. That's what scared me most about him. He looked so unpredictable and dangerous.
Did you know Ubier's wife was a film star?
No, I didn't know he was married. What happened to her?
She died. In mysterious circumstances, apparently.
How mysterious?
I heard she was murdered. Possibly by Ubier himself.
A murderer, huh? André said he was something of a celebrity.
I found these in your bag.
Oh, They were a gift.
I know. I read the note.
God knows what was going through Andre's mind.
I think that's quite plain enough. Have you any idea who this little statue is supposed to be?
I'm not very well acquainted with Mayan deities, Georges. But whatever his name, he sure is ugly.
It was too heavy for me to move on my own. Could you give me a hand to push this statue?
What for?
This, my dear, is our passport to freedom.
If you say so, dear.
Okay, push! Great teamwork.
Nice to be working with you again, Mr. Stobart.
Nico, I have a great idea.
George, where have you been?
Never mind that. Do you have the Mayan stone?
Maybe I have, but,
Don't argue, Andre. Give the stone to Georges.
well, of course, if you say so, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Andre.
George, he told me you'd been kidnapped, my dear. I'm glad to see he was mistaken.
Oh, but it was true. If it hadn't been for Georges, I wouldn't be here now.
It's not finished yet. Karzak's thugs will be back for that stone, you can bet. The best lead that we have is Coromonte City.
Coromonte is in Central America. That's where Ubier gets his artifacts.
That's all we needed to know. Come on, Georges.
Quaramonte, the traveler's rear entrance to Central America. Well, that's how it was translated in the brochure. We didn't know what we were looking for, but the offices of Condor Transglobal seemed a good place to start.
Hey, it's market day. I don't see any cabs. Let's ask someone how to get to Quaramonte City.
Okay. Keep your eyes peeled for any sign of Condor Transglobal. Those things are gourds, aren't they?
Sí.
Hey! Mind the footwear, lady. Do you have crabs?
No, only fish.
Nice fish.
Thanks.
If, by some remote chance, I ever need a fish, I'll be back. Do you recognize this statue?
Si, senor. It is very, very bad luck. That is Tezcatlipoca, Night Hunter.
The guy looked scared out of his wits.
Go away! Go away!
Hey, cheer up, guys. What's with the long faces?
Our pipe player has been arrested and thrown in jail.
Poor Miguel. He never broke the law in his life.
Why was Miguel put in jail?
For playing folk music.
What?
It's true, senor. He insisted on playing traditional Cuaramonte music, even though it's illegal.
Why don't you try playing a tune to cheer yourselves up?
No, we should be looking for real jobs.
We could earn 10 times as much down the mines. My cousin Ramirez was earning 8 pesos an hour.
Before he lost his legs in the accident.
Tell me about the accident at the mine.
There was an explosion at Teoculcan. 30 miners were buried alive.
They got some of them out, though.
2 of them, including your cousin, and they left half of him behind.
Mrs. Henderson. Boy, this is some coincidence, huh?
When you've been married to a fruitcake like Dwayne as long as I have, you stop believing in coincidence.
I'd met Pearl and Dwayne on the other side of the globe in Syria. He was an Army veteran who suspected he was working for the CIA, but wasn't sure. She was less obviously deranged. Is Dwayne here with you, Mrs. Henderson?
Why, sure, I couldn't leave him home alone. Since Dwayne came back from the war, we couldn't bear to be apart.
So, where is he now?
We ain't speaking.
Why aren't you speaking to Dwayne?
Because he's an old spoil sport sourpuss. I want to visit one of those old pyramid places, but Dwayne says he has to stay in town.
Right. And you don't want to go on your own?
Well, there's no point in going to the pyramid if there's no one around to take my picture.
Is Dwayne still working for the CIA?
If he is, he doesn't know it. He's what they call a snoozer.
Don't you mean a sleeper?
No, this is different. He used to think he worked for them, but the psychotherapy cured him of that. What he doesn't realize is that now he really does work for them. At least that's the way I understood it.
What brings you to Cuaramonte, Pearl?
What takes me just about anywheres. The market.
You drove 2,000 miles to go shopping?
Shopping is my role in the economy of the Great Design, George.
Catch you later, Pearl. Hey, Nico!
I have done just as I have been instructed, Professor. With the mine closed down, there'll be no one around to observe your excavation. Ah, I have visitors.
Just remember what I told you, General. There's really no need to make a martyr out of that man.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Senor. Welcome to Cuaramonte.
Thanks. My name's George Stobart from California.
But what is this? An angel come down to earth.
Nicole Collard. Enchantée, mon général.
Pardon me, senorita, but I couldn't help myself.
Look, we'd like to ask you a few questions.
You've come to the right place, senor. Tourist information. General Graciento, at your service.
This is the tourist office? It says police on the sign outside.
It is both, senor. I am a man of many parts.
I can see that, General.
Is it true there's a restriction on music in Quaramonte?
Yes, there is. An emergency measure introduced by Nuestra Senora.
Folk music is a link with the past for some of these people. Take away their musical roots, and what do they got left?
Easy listening.
You think easy listening could replace a musical heritage hundreds of years old?
Why not? It happened in your country.
Are there any ruins around the city?
Of course, Signor. Quaramonte has everything.
I have a friend who wants to visit an historical site.
Ronaldo will only be too pleased to conduct a guided tour, when he's dealt with today's paperwork, of course.
I'll be back.
Signor. Leave the child alone.
Do you have a map of Quaramonte?
A map? I'm sorry, Signor, but I don't.
What about the one on the wall?
Ah, that is an archaeological survey map, Signor. Not suitable for tourists.
I hear there was an accident at the mine a few months ago.
That's correct.
A lot of men killed, weren't there?
A few.
30?
Barely 1% of the working population.
Have you heard of a guy called Karzak?
No, I never heard of him.
Who was the guy you were talking to when we arrived?
Professor Ubier, a visitor, Signor, like yourselves.
Did you say Ubier?
Si, Signor. Professor Ubier, a French archaeologist.
What's Ubier doing in Quaramonte?
Researching our rich and glorious past, Signor. The professor is planning an expedition to some Mayan ruins. He came to see me to get an excavation permit.
I'll be back. You came on a little strong with the general.
I was merely flattering his ego, Georges. Every man has his Achilles heel.
Maybe, but that guy's weakness isn't in his foot. Did you notice that chart on the police station wall?
Yes, it looked like a map to me, but I couldn't make out the details.
Whatever it was, the general didn't want us to see it. That man we saw talking to the general was Ubier. Didn't you recognize him?
I never met him, remember? The guy I called in Paris claimed to be Ubier, but he sounded nothing like the man in the police station. Maybe the professor really is innocent.
Nah, it's too much of a coincidence that he's here in Quaramonte. Professor Ubier?
Yes? Who are you?
My name is Stobart. George Stobart.
I thought that face was familiar. Remember me, George? Dwayne Henderson.
Hi, Dwayne. Just a moment. I have a few questions to ask the professor here. What are you doing in Quaramonte, Professor?
Seeking Mayan artifacts. Central American history has been my life's work.
What do you know about my girlfriend's abduction?
I don't know what you're talking about.
She was invited to your mansion in Paris.
Not by me, she wasn't. I haven't been home for nearly 7 months.
Have you ever employed a Central American butler or servant?
I've never employed any kind of servant, monsieur.
Tell me about your wife, Professor.
Please, I don't want to talk about her.
Maybe you don't, but I do. Why was she known as the Little Dachshund?
It was just a silly pet name I used to call her. Somehow some damned reporter found out.
Does the name Karzak mean anything to you?
Yes, I know him. In fact, if it wasn't for Kazakh, I wouldn't be here.
What?
He's financing my expedition.
Hey, Nico!
Hola, señora.
Hi. We were wondering...
I was talking to the lady, Chico.
Hi, my name is Nicole Collard.
Concha Garcia. How can I help you, sister?
The corporation I represent is considering a major investment in Quaramonte. Your advice, as the head of an obviously successful concern, is precisely what I'm after. My assistant, Mr. Stobart, has a few questions he'd like to ask you.
Can you tell me about the accident at the mine?
Accident? It was sabotage. Somebody wanted my mine closed down for good.
Do you have any evidence that the mine was sabotaged?
Not yet, but I'll get to the bottom of it. There'd been trouble at that mine for several months. The workforce was getting smaller every day. Someone had started a rumor among the men that the mine was cursed. Now the entire operation has been closed down.
Where's the site of the mine?
Several days upriver at a remote area known as Teoculcan.
Do you know Professor Ubier?
Yes. I understand he is about to embark on an archaeological expedition. He hired some equipment from me earlier today.
I overheard him talking to the general. I think they're working together.
What? If I'd known that, I wouldn't have hired out the equipment. Now, why would the general be interested in an archaeologist?
Have you heard of a man named Karzak?
No? Who is he?
He's the reason we came to Quaramonte. We think he's running a drug ring.
Well, I hope you find him, but I've never heard the name before.
Would you be interested in these panties? They look about your size.
Is that your best line, Chico?
I'm serious. They were an unwanted gift.
Put them away before you get overexcited.
Do you recognize the icon on this label?
Condor Transglobal.
Did the company operate here in Quaramonte?
Yes, they ran an old container ship, the Mayan Princess.
Do you know who owned Condor Transglobal?
I have no idea.
Have you heard about the forthcoming eclipse?
I don't take much interest in things like that. One of the boys might know about it.
Can you tell me anything about the statue?
It is Tezcatlipoca, the god of death and pestilence. That fetish would be considered by many to be a bad omen.
Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Consolidated Mining. If you are planning to stay in Quaramonte City, may I recommend the Consolidated Mining Experience, an interactive hands-on tour of one of our deepest mines, with talking tour guides available in 3 different languages.
A tour of a mine.
Well, this is a mining company. What else did you expect?
Do you know anything about the eclipse that's due soon?
Me? No, senor.
Do you know where I could find Senor Karzak?
No, senor.
Did you know there's an eclipse of the sun in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, Joe told me about it.
He's having a party and we're all invited. Me and the boys are dressing up as evil monks.
Yeah? Cool. Ever hear of a guy called Karzak?
No, sir.
Are you looking forward to the eclipse of the sun?
Not especially. Are you?
I don't know. I've never seen one. All I know about eclipses is that you shouldn't try to view them with the naked eye.
Please, go away and let me get on with my work.
Are you still working for... you know who?
You know I can't talk about my work, George. That's between me and Uncle Sam.
Do you think the general was involved with Condor?
Hell no. And if he's a general, I'm a Buddhist. No, that fella's just a mouthpiece for the real power in Quaramonte.
So the general is nothing but a puppet?
He's like Pinocchio before he met the Blue Rinse Fairy. Strictly strings and wood.
Who's pulling the strings?
His mother. Better known as La Presidenta, the dictator.
Does the name Karzak mean anything to you?
Sounds like a comic book villain to me, son.
He's the man behind Condor, and the rat who kidnapped Nico.
You know, the first time I met you, I was deeply impressed with your naive simplicity. I said to Pearl, if we ever had kids, I would have wanted a boy like George. But I underestimated you, son.
I spoke to Pearl earlier.
Yeah? Did she mention that we had a kind of falling out?
Yes, she did.
She'll get over it.
Did you drive all the way down here?
Hell no. Pearl did the driving while I followed the maps. The way she handled the wheel, you'd think she'd been trucking half her life.
Why did you bring a huge truck like that?
George, I'm on a top-secret classified mission for Uncle Sam. This truck is a rolling bomb. 400 pounds of nitrate fertilizer with a plastique initiator. They'll hear the bang in China. Gee, I'm really looking forward to this.
Did you know that traditional music is illegal in Quaramonte?
Is that so? Seems reasonable to me.
No, really. The leader of the band in the square has been in prison just because of the music he played.
I don't know who you've been talking to, but that fella, Miguel, he's an agitator.
What's the real reason the musician was in prison?
Handed out subversive literature at the mines. That so-called general was waiting for Miguel when he got back into town. Marched him off to jail at gunpoint on a charge of inciting a riot.
Is Miguel the reason you're here?
Pretty smart, George. I was supposed to make contact with him. By the time I found him, though, he was in jail. I've been trying to figure out a way to get him out since then.
Sounds good to me. Count me in.
Good man, George. All I need is a detonator.
How come you brought a truckload of explosives but no detonator?
Call me old-fashioned, but I say packing trunks is woman's work. I left the packing to Pearl, and I can't find a darn thing. Just hope she remembered to bring my denture polish. I'd sure hate to arrive back in the States with tar on my teeth.